And as we continue to open ourselves to the presence of God, we have been nourished by the gifts of God this morning. Let us hear with open hearts scripture from the Gospel of Mark. Jesus entered a house. A crowd gathered again so that it was impossible for him and his followers to eat. When his family heard what was happening, they came to take control of him. We're saying, he's out of his mind. The legal experts came down from Jerusalem over and over. They charged, he's possessed by Beelzebub. He throws out demons with the authority of the ruler of demons. When Jesus called them together, he spoke to them in a parable. How can Satan throw out Satan? A kingdom involved in civil war will collapse, and a house torn apart by divisions will collapse. If Satan rebels against himself and is divided, then he can't endure. He's done for. No one gets into the house of the strong person and steals anything without first tying up the strong person. Only then can the house be burglarized. I assure you that human beings will be forgiven for everything, all the sins and insults of every kind. But whoever insults the Holy Spirit will never be forgiven. That person is guilty of a sin with the consequences that last forever. He said this because the legal experts were saying he was possessed by an evil spirit. His mother and brothers arrived. They stood outside and sent word to him, calling him. A crowd was seated around him, and those sent to him said, "Look, your mother, brothers, and sisters are outside looking for you." He replied, "Who is my mother? Who are my brothers?" Looking around at those seated around him in the circle, he said, "Look, here are my mother and my brothers. Whoever does God's will is my brother, sister, and mother." May we be enlightened by hearing these words of God. Who is my mother and brother? Those who do the will of God. And we are blessed this morning to have someone with us who did just that and has done just that. Judy, how many trips have you taken? 5 trips on her, not on her own, but of her own, all of her own resources to go to Colombia, seeing as I think it was her Honduras, but so to Colombia with a group of folks from Frederick Hospital. And you went in February, right? February this year. And so I've invited her to come on down, Judy. You're the next contestant on I Am Christ's Mother, Brother, Sister. And so Judy's going to share with us her experience on her journey and what it meant to her, and then we'll have a brief little combo after. So your clicker's right here. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I'm blessed to be here. I have been at St. John's for a few years now, hanging out in that back pew. And have obviously seen many people here volunteer and continue to do mission work here. And I am proud to continue to volunteer and do that as well as here. So my time with the medical mission, I was asked quite a few years ago, and I'm a single mom, and so I had a daughter that was in college and a son that was still in high school. And so, you know, those bills kind of take precedence of whether or not you can do some of those outside activities. So once my daughter graduated from college and my son was on his apprenticeship, they said, "I don't know why you're hanging around. I think you should start to go. You've always wanted to." So had the opportunity to join the Milwaukee Medical Mission. It's a wonderful thing. There's a website in case you need to look at it. The Milwaukee Medical Mission provides surgical medical care to people living in underserved areas of South America. We provide plastic surgery of all types, corrections of congenital malformities, so birth defects, burns, wounds, associated reconstructive surgery with hands and feet, also ears to children and young adults. And also, we have a few adults that we saw this year. We don't, if they come, we treat them. who would not otherwise receive any medical surgical care because of their economic hardship. So these are people that kind of live day to day and they take care of their family, but the medical aspect in Bucaramanga, which is where we're close to, doesn't really allow them to afford medical care. So while we're there, though, we educate a lot, and you're going to see a couple of photos, and you're going to think, "Well, Judy, that looks pretty good," or whatever. We've done a lot of education with the doctors and the nurses. There's one therapist there, believe it or not. I'm an occupational therapist, and I've worked with hand injuries for 35 years. So the therapy part of this, easy peasy for me. I don't even have to think about it. The rest of everything else that goes into a mission is sometimes can be a little bit difficult. So we're a really good team. There's usually anywhere between 25 or 30 of us to pull this off. The area we work in is about the size of the sanctuary, and it would have 3 surgical rooms, a little clinic, a little, I guess what you would say, like aftercare area and a nurse area. So all of that happens in something that's about this size. So, they'll say, well, could you do more? Could you take more? When you only have 3 operating rooms and you only have so many days, there's only so many people you can help. But we just try the best we can, and we take our gratification with what we can do down there. So we're a local organization. There's no paid staff. Everybody that goes takes their time off and pays for their airfare. And there's a little picture of our little motel establishment. So people are dedicated, and people do go year after year. There are usually between 20 of us that are kind of a core group that go, and then there's anywhere from 8 to 10 of new people, because you always need new people to learn and bring them down, and they may want to join us the following years. So it's an independent organization. We're almost all from Milwaukee area. There's a wonderful anesthesia group that's in Iowa. They come down. We have some doctors that join us from South America as well. So we take volunteers, we take med students, we take along interpreters, because as you're going to see, Spanish is nowhere near my second language. The other thing in the Milwaukee Medical Mission is really near and dear to our hearts is when everything started in Ukraine. As you know, we had the candle, and I believe we're on our 3rd candle. Any supplies that we are donated to us that we would not use, we take them and give them to a community. They have a warehouse in Germantown where they collect supplies. So we have kind of partnered with them over the last 3.5 to 4 years to give them continued supplies as well. So that's just kind of another way to give back. So we start our day, and I will tell you, the first day we come, we have buses. So they get us from the airport, we get to our little hotel area, and then we all get in a bus every morning. The bus leaves at 6:36 sharp. If you're not on it, you're going to miss it. So you got to get up and get going. Uh-oh, I'm breaking things. And you will notice on the first picture, on this side is the patients that are waiting for us. So when we came along the street, there were people lined up on the street like you're going to a sporting event. And the first day I went, I'm like, well, I don't know what all these people are waiting for. And we're looking and looking, and they're actually the patients that are looking and coming to see us. And this year was the first year they actually had tents and chairs. There's a business that's in the bigger city that has been aware that we're coming here. These people line up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, stay out there in this heat. So this year we were fortunate enough, they brought out the tents and they actually had chairs for people. So we were so happy about that. You might be able to see on the top right up here, you might not be able to see it as well. At the peak of the top, you'll see some coiled razor blades that are across the top of it. So the first day again of the very first trip I took, I thought this is kind of an odd place for a prison, because that's kind of what it looked like. There was tall walls with with the razor blades on top. So yeah. So it is a secure compound. So when we come with our bus, the security guard opens and we back in, and then we're in that secure compound. So sometimes people are a little worried about our safety, but you'll see our people that protect us when we're there a little later. A nice gentleman. He's got on some sunglasses. This is our very first day. We see, last year we saw over 245 people in one day. One page, 245 people come through. So there's 3 rooms. There's a set of teams in each room. So if you divide that up, you know how many people are going through each room throughout the day. It's a long day. We will not leave until that last patient. Every chair there has to be empty before we will leave because we have one clinic day. Once the clinic day is done, then we decide who's going to have surgery, who needs to come to clinic, who might need to see me for therapy or splints or wounds. So it's all decided in that very first day. We compact as much as we can in our mission trip. The sunglasses he has on are part of a gift bag we give every child. It's a gallon bag, if you can see that in your hand. And it usually has stickers, a little coloring book, like 4 crayons, sunglasses. It always has a Beanie Baby, hot item down there. They just don't, it's something they don't have. And she's kind of hanging on to it. I will tell you, anybody here would have that ripped open and they're digging, they just hang on to it. They hang on, you see them, they wait for the doctor, they're still hanging on to their bag. They leave, they're still hanging on to their bag. You know, it's like, it's yours. You can look in that or just hang on to their bag. So we go down every year. That's one of our volunteers. She's a social worker. She keeps the children's entertained while they're waiting for surgery. Because remember, no eating, no drinking. And so when you have a 3 or 4 o'clock surgery, she has a challenge. Believe me, she keeps them entertained. And that's a mom and one of the girls. And there's a little boy that we saw, and that's actually my clinic. And I got a fan this year. So every year there's like something different. So this year I got an oscillating fan on my wall in my clinic. So I was very happy with that. Thankful for small things. That is a girl after surgery and with my interpreter. That is Liam, who is just a wonderful little boy that had surgery. He had a cleft lip, so he had his surgery done. There is a wonderful girl over here that is in my clinic. The person that's with me is Sonia. She grew up there. She's the starter of this mission. So she grew up in this area. She's a doctor in South America, and she's a physical therapist here in the United States. So this is a girl that will not have surgery this year, but I made her a splint, which is the white kind of plastic thing that's on her wrist, in order for her to have surgery next year if her family can get her to come. She is from a little bit, no, I say this, but it's not really. She's from a little bit of a more of a wealthier area. She has on her school uniform when she came to see us. So she got out of school to come and see us for the day. Oh, let me go back. After surgery, so you'll see a picture of me in surgery. It's very different there. When the surgeons are about done with their procedure, they give me about a 10-minute heads up. So they send a nurse out and they find me wherever I'm doing whatever. And they say, you got 10 minutes in room 1, 2, or 3. Perfect. So I bring in my little splints. I do all their wounds while they're in anesthesia. So I do all their wound care, and then I make splints for their hands or their feet. But as you know, with any child, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to want to rip that off. So we have these things that are called no-nos, and this one is 101 Dalmatians. And they're like, we have somebody that makes them. So again, another person we're so thankful for. It's just cloth, and they have popsicle sticks in. And then they have ribbons that we tie around. So it keeps their hands away from their mouths. So you put their no-nos, so they're kind of like a mummy. And but they can't get it to their mouth, because the first thing a child wants to do is either rip it off or put their hand in their mouth. So we have something that's called no-nos. And that's one of my patients that is sleeping. We also take blankets down, so they get a blanket as well. That is me hanging out in surgery. You would never see that in the United States. I take my little splint pan with my rolling cart. They usually find me a cart somewhere down there. And yes, that's just an electric fry pan. That's what I make my splints in. And then all my wound things are below. So I'm just hanging out in surgery waiting for the doctor there. You can see I'm not in a sterile gown. I do have my scrubs on. But when when the doctors turn the patient over to me, it's no longer a sterile field. So they have to make sure they're done. So I will always double check. They'll say, okay, we're good. And I'm like, are you good? And then they'll say, yes, we're good. Because once I touch them, the sterile field is gone. So it's another cute little boy and his mom. So usually we don't see in the video, you will see a brother and a sister, and both parents came with them. Usually you see a mom, a dad, a grandma, an aunt, because these are working families. Or even if mom works at home, making things, sewing or whatever, it's a little bit of a hardship to also come. So one of the gentlemen that I may have a picture of them, if not, they're in the video. This is Liam, who is on your left. He had his lip done. So remember when I said we train people there? He had his lip done by the surgeons there. So it's a really great job. He had his whole lip done, but they couldn't do the palate. They haven't quite mastered that yet. So he was back and had his inside of his mouth done for this one. But they're learning. They're actually, we make strides every year of what they can continue to do. In our downtime, this is where we live. So it's end of February, beginning of March. We're very close to the equator, obviously much closer than here. So it's like 85 there. We're in the mountains, so you think it's cooler, but it just means we're closer to the sun. Yeah. So that's kind of looking over the cities kind of out there. And then that's our police officers. That's what our police officers drive, those little motorbikes. That's all they drive around because they have to get around quickly, etc. So we have 5 of them that are with us all day. And then at night when we're in our compound, we just have 1 that's there with us in our compound. And then these little rooms are kind of how they start their hotels or their motels. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 right there. So when they first started, they build whatever they can afford to make. And so then as they get revenue, then they made, you can see it on that little edge, then they create, and there's like 2 or 3 more. So it ends up kind of being like a long motel, but there's like 5 here and then 2 here. And then they had a banner year. So there was like 10 over here. So they're just kind of a long, long rooms. So that's where we are. The mountain behind us is where the airport is. We land on top of the mountain and there's no room for error because the runway ends at the end of the mountain. They just shaved off the top of the end of it and it's there. So if you don't like to fly, you don't put a window seat because all of a sudden you're at the end of the runway and you look down and there's nothing there. So that is where we stay. And I am there. Most of us are there 2 weeks. There's about 8 to 10 people that come just 1 week. So we do have some time for some entertaining. So one of the wonderful things that we do, which is very close to us in Bucaramanga, we take a bus, and this is a Di Santissimo, the Christ statue. Because Christ has his right hand up to God, he is actually taller than the Christ statue in Rio. You will probably never have seen this statue. It's not in books. It's not on a tourist. But Di Santissimo, which is the Christ statue, is the tallest Christ statue. The structure behind it actually is an elevator. So when you go up, you're in those way high windows. You look over his head onto the city. You always go in the evening, so you're watching the sunset over the mountain. It's beautiful, just beautiful there. It's very special, very special. They also up there have like cultural. There's dances and there's music, and it's a nice place to gather. It's very serene. You go up on this, there's no cars up there. You go up on this little cable car to get to the top, and then it's just very peaceful there. The governor sent us on a boat trip. I don't know if the governor wanted to get rid of us or not, but this is how we walk down to the boat. So you're not thinking about, hopping down to Lake Michigan or Lake Erie and you're getting on. So we go down this beaten path, and then this is our little boat that we're on that we go out for on the day. So, and this is, I think the next one has us kind of climbing over the rocks. That's our gangplank to get on. So we kind of go off. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. This was fairly early in the morning, so it was a little misty there. So on the weekends, we do get to be out and about. That is Eduardo. So he took the captain's hat and he came around. He is one of our security guards. So when they go with us, the police will go with us everywhere. But he will be dressed just as we are when they go out with us. During the day when we're at the hospital, they're in full uniform. And when we go to town per se, they're in full uniform. But when we go on our weekends, they just dress casual. They're very fun. They're very fun. The 5 years, we've never had the same. They always are switched to someone different. And this, it reminds me kind of the West when you think about it. It's very mountainous. It's, just beautiful valleys, lush and green. So this is their winter, but it's still very gorgeous. Now, my daughter Amanda said, I don't know why you took a picture of a snake in the grass. That seems to be the roads we travel on. So I'm looking out of the bus window back at the road that we traveled on. So you can see when the town may only be, an hour away distance wise. But because of these other roads you go on, most of the time when we go place, it's about 2.5 hours to get to a larger town or a city. So it's very, very fun, very fun. This is one of the churches that is close to where we are. It's a very old, wonderful church. We often just go and sit at the end of the day. Sometimes you're just exhausted and you just want to sit. So we often go and sit. It's beautiful. A nice hard wooden benches reminds you what you're thankful for. And then one day there's one of our policia there. He's dressed in his green uniform. One of the days I was there, I caught this picture. And this is a picture I took on our way in. And then as I turned, had been there for a while with several other people. And I turned to leave and there was this family sitting. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I took a snap of them. And then I walked around them and I asked the policia. They were people that were traveling from Venezuela by many feet, their whole family, and would take refuge in churches or whatever along the way. So we went down to the street vendors and we gave the food to the policia, and then we can't interact with them, but the police officers will often do it for us. So we went out to the street vendors and got them some food so they could eat for the day. This is another church, but there was a wedding, so I didn't want to interrupt that. It's beautiful, a lot of beautiful agriculture. This is kind of a typical street. This is in the bigger city, so you will see the cars, but they're pretty narrow. So there's a sidewalk, a place to drive, a place to park, and another sidewalk. So you have to kind of watch where you're going and when you're in town. This is one of the expeditions we went on. We went into one of their caves and they took us down, and this is how you get in and out of the cave. But it was much fun. On our weekends, we'd really try to explore. Our doctors, you can see my determination over there. I'm pouring sangria and I don't want the fruit to go in my glass. But then there's a margarita with a beer. The Thursday before we leave, our doctors from the hospital, we go to a very nice restaurant and our doctors pay for a wonderful meal. And it's just kind of a thank goodness we made it this far kind of meal. And we're so appreciative. When I talk about the doctors, when I talk about our team, it's a team. The doctors do surgery. I mean, we all have our own jobs. But whenever their hands are idled, they're doing something. So the last day of we have these little files that we keep their medical records in for us, and they have to be filed. Well, one of the doctors was done early with his surgery, and he's like, "Hey, do these have to be filed?" They do, and it's like, and there was like 250 folders. He's in there, he's just digging away, filing away. So you have a very prominent surgeon that does wonderful things here in Milwaukee, filing their medical records. Job needed to be done, so he just pitched in to do it. So it's a wonderful team. It's a wonderful team. There are the heroes that meet us at the airport. There's 3 of the 5. They meet us at the airport. They're with us all the time. Yes, they wear their full, that's winter and that's what they wear. But remember, it's 85 degrees. So they're in long sleeves. They have their flak jackets on. They have weapons on them. We have weapons in our bus that they can use. They've never had to. So they meet us and there's usually 5 of them. 2 were in town this day. But they meet us at the airport and they're with us 24 hours, except for a short time at night for the whole time we're there until they drop us off back at the airport. So we get to know them very well. Sometimes they'll bring their wife or their families on a day off or whatever. So we get to meet them as well. I always take something from Wisconsin, so the police always, there's always 5 of them, and I kind of guess their size. They're not really big. They're not really big guys there. So, larges or extra larges usually fit. So I always take them Packer gear. So on the last day, they get Packer gear. And this year, the Packers are in Brazil. So this will be a big deal this year. So only the police officers get the Packer gear when we go. A lot of people are envious, but they are the only ones that get our gear. So they're very nice gentlemen. Most of them don't speak English, but it doesn't really matter. The language barrier really doesn't stop us. We just Google Translate, and we laugh with them, and they're very fun. So the first year I went, I asked if they had drawn the short straw. That took a whole lot of interpreting. So, so the interpreter was wonderful with that. And actually, besides the governor, the mission work that come here are one of the highest sought after positions that they do. So they bid for these jobs, which is why we never have the same person twice. We have 5 new and then 1 or 2 that go at night. The hospital, they're pretty good. Their job is pretty easy at the hospital because once we're in this small area, they really have all of us contained. It's when we're back at our little hotel area, and that's a like a secure compound. You have to have gates to come into where we stay. So we're pretty safe there. We walk all over there. But when we go to town, etc., they take their job really seriously, and we listen to them. One bad thing or one misstep or something that would be seen as negative will stop the mission trips forever down there. So we're very, very conscientious and follow all the rules. I'm sometimes a rule breaker, but I follow these rules. I will tell you. Here's our gang. It's just great. So all the doctors, the top one's in the hospital. The bottom one is when we were out to eat. Perfect. Excellent. It's about a 2.5-minute video, and it goes pretty quickly. It's in Spanish, but Bennett said, I don't think we'll have audio, but there's little words on the bottom, but I'll talk along with it as well. So it is actually the first time we've ever had a video done. The governor wants to bring awareness so they can get more grants to improve the hospital, to know that this work is being done. The city, which is fairly close, has a wonderful hospital that has all the bells and whistles. It would be much like our hospital here, but the people that we see would not be able to be treated there. So they're really trying to become awareness of what is happening and that these people are coming down for medical missions. So it's kind of a publicity down there, but it really shows off our wonderful team very well. So if we can.
En un mundo donde el acceso a la atención médica es un privilegio
So in
para
a world
algunos
where
y un
privilege
sueño
for some
inalcanzable
is an
para otros,
unattainable,
en
an
Cisco
unattainable
vemos
dream for
esperanza que
others,
brilla en medio
a
de
light
la
of hope
oscuridad.
shines in the
La
midst of
misión médica
darkness. The
Milwaukee,
Milwaukee Medical
Wisconsin,
Mission 24,
2024. Un símbolo de
symbol of
generosidad y
generosity and
compromiso con el
commitment to
prójimo.
others.
Es un honor para la
It's
ES
an honor for the
Hospital
University
Universitario de
Hospital
Santander, liderada por el Dr.
that
Julián
led our
Muñoz
Dr.
Carrillo, a ser
Carrillo
parte cada año de
be a
esta
part of the
gran
great
misión.
mission every year.
Agradecida
I am
con
very
el
grateful with the
hospital y
hospital
con la misión
and the
Wisconsin
Milwaukee
por
Medical
esta
Mission
oportunidad que
for
me
the
dieron,
opportunity to keep
para
my
que
baby.
vinieran al bebé. No hay palabras de agradecimiento.
I really don't
para
have the
ellos. Le doy
words.
gracias a los
I thank you with the
cirujanos por
surgeons
esta buena obra que han
and by
hecho.
this good work.
Gracias a
Thanks to
al
University
hospital
Hospital
acá
for the opportunity.
universitario por esta oportunidad. Yo soy muy agradecida
I am
con
very
el
grateful with the
hospital, también
hospital
con la
and
misión
Wisconsin Medical
Wisconsin.
Mission.
Que Dios los bendiga grandemente.
God bless you
De verdad están
greatly.
haciendo una labor muy
They're
bella.
going to be, you are doing a very beautiful job. I am very grateful. Give them a message never to fail.
Sigan adelante con esa
Keep on
hermosa
this
labor que
beautiful
llevan
work.
y al Hospital Universitario
University
quiero
Hospital,
agradecerles
very
por su
much
atención, por su
for their
servicio,
attention and their
por todo,
service and for
como
everything.
nos atendieron, la
I'm very
verdad,
grateful
muy
for the
agradecido,
attention, the
la
charisma,
atención, el carisma y todo lo que
and
hemos
everything we have
recibido del
received
Hospital
from the University
Universitario.
Hospital.
Nos llevamos
We leave
una
with a very
imagen
good
muy
image.
buena.
Un equipo
A
dedicado cuyo
dedicated
único
team whose
propósito
sole
es
purpose
transformar
is to
vidas
transform
y devolver
lives and bring
sonrisas
smiles
a
back to
cientos de
hundreds of people.
personas. Durante 37 años, la
For
misión
37
médica ha
years, the
llegado a
Milwaukee Medical
Santander,
Mission has arrived in
impactando la vida
Santander,
de más de
impacting the
6,000
lives of more than
personas que hoy
6,000
les
people
dicen
for today can say thank you. Thank you,
Dios los
Wisconsin.
bendiga.
God bless the doctors in the hospital.
Los médicos, que mi
May
Dios
God bless the
los
doctors
guarde
and they may
y
return
que los
soon.
vuelva a traer.
May God bless the doctors and having them cured me.
Me curaron.
Thank you very much.
Les doy muchas gracias.
Gracias a su
Thanks for your
generosidad,
generosity and
los
commitment,
cuales se han convertido en la
which have
esperanza
become
y
hope
la
and life
transformación de vida en los corazones de
transformation in
aquellos
the
que
hearts of
más
those
lo
who need it
necesitan.
most.
Bye.
Mateo, he's
Thank
here.
you.
That's one of the splints I
Thank you very
made. This is a
much.
brother
Bye.
sister. This is the first year we've had siblings that each had something done.
Ese
So they
hospital
had both of their
universitario de
families
Santander,
there,
el
or both of their
hospital
parents there.
para la gente.
So just kind of a quick brief thing of what we kind of do for the 2 weeks. It takes hours and commitment to get us there. But every minute we're there is truly worth it. And I am so grateful to be such a small part of this wonderful team of the doctors, the anesthesiologists, the nurses, our interpreters, thank goodness, and then all of the people that are down there in South America, definitely. So I thank you for listening.
Thank you. Now, don't leave the microphone. Judy and I had a little conversation. She has gone for 5 years. Each year, she has taken her own PTO. She has worked her own personal budget to get there. So my question is, any frequent flyer miles out there? Maybe we could find a ticket. I know a couple people that fly quite a bit. Then we might do something like that. I heard Beanie Babies.
Oh.
Yes, I was just thinking about what am I gonna do with all the Beanie Babies my kids don't want.
Yeah.
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 I found I saw Jennifer over there going,
We used
few-
every single Beanie Baby. We were so lucky. We thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be off it. We used every single Beanie Baby this year. So we had, when we came home, we had none in reserve.
So no Beanie Babies.
So,
or
yeah,
any
so
Beanie Babies.
we've been out, gathering, and some people have 30, some people had 60, but we see 250. Next year, we probably might see a little more, but we see about 250 people. So, it takes a lot of Beanie Babies, but they're easy to pack. We need,
Yeah, it's small.
we need small and soft and it won't break. So Beanie Babies. are
So there are
great.
garage sales out now that season.
Yeah.
Beanie Babies are sometimes one of those items in the 25-cent box.
Yeah.
We bought them. My children bought them thinking they were going to make themselves millions of dollars. Poor investment strategy for a 7-year-old, but maybe a wonderful gift here. I saw Jennifer going, do you need people to make those no-nos?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, if you can get us a pattern,
Oh, sure.
get us a
Yeah,
pattern, we
those are
can make
great.
some no-nos. I see Sarah and Linda going like, and you need
Mhm.
crayons and things like that. So
Yeah, everything,
yeah.
everything we take is donated. So we just kind of get out.
So
the
if you,
word.
what we'll do is we'll work out a list of all the things you need that you take in those little Ziplocs
Mhm.
and, or even the Ziploc. Then we can work on that.
Yeah, my
here as
spare
well.
bedroom has bins, because otherwise, so it has bins of what everything is. Because otherwise it will not be organized. And then one of the nurses at her house, thank goodness, she gathers all of these. And so I take a bin, I take a full bin, and she gives me an empty bin, and then we just keep filling.
Okay, and if you need a packing place, or packing people to help put those bags together when the time comes, I think there are a few people around here might be able to do that. So anyway, we can support this. This is an amazing thing you do. And the text in the morning said, who are my brothers and sisters? Those who do the will of God. They share their gifts so graciously. So
And
thank you.
I so appreciate your prayers. I will tell you, at the end of every day, I am thankful for that day. And I often think about my family. I think about my church family. I think about my friends and family, because obviously we're far away from home, but the support and the faith that I feel is truly wonderful.
And you also
So
said
thank you.
little, you give gifts to the nurses.
Oh, yeah. I
Share that.
Yeah, we do. So every month I get this from Bath and Body Works, and you get this coupon that says, I don't know, 20% off, free gift or something. So I take off the free gift and I go to Bath and Body Work, and it's a little sample something, you know, a lotion or whatever. And so the OR nurses and the nurses on the floor that I work with, they get a little gift bag when we leave because you know, they don't have anything like that. So yeah, we give the workers a little gift bag
And you
as
said that
well.
their comment was, it's for me?
Yeah, there was, am I sharing this? I said, no, that's for you. Just for me? I said, yes, that's for you. You take that home, it's for you. This is mine. You know, they check, I mean, they're very grateful for everything, believe me.
Well, thank
So,
you, Judy. And
Thank you.
any way we can support you. And I was, yeah. Yeah.